Nick Sirianni, Mr. Sirianni, or should I say, like what 5500 would always say, he would call him my cannoli eating son of a gun. This video is dedicated to you only because you are not doing what you say that you were going to do when you became the Eagles head coach. Um, if I'm let me clarify some things right quick because you said that you would come here and run the football. That was one of your main goals. Um, then you had this comment that you said that kind of twisted a lot of Eagle fans the wrong way when you were saying rock paper scissors. Now, that is a childish game to begin with. That game is childish, and we all know that rock smashes scissors, rock smashes paper. I mean, rock wins everything. So, to me, when you say rock paper scissors, that means that you gonna run the rock, which is the football. Scissors mean, I guess, you're gonna win games, and paper means everything is being recorded according to offense, defense, special team. That's how I've taken it when you came to the Philadelphia Eagles because a lot of us are still confused because in the last 3 games you did not run the football and I in the last video that I made actually that video that I made after the Eagles' horrible loss to the Dallas Cowboys 41-21, which is still mind-boggling because you came from the Indianapolis Colts where they run the football on a regular basis. Frank Reich, former Eagles offensive coordinator, who, in my opinion, probably should have been the Eagles coach in the first place, but they hired you off his staff because of your intellectual mind when it comes to wide receivers. Now, don't get me wrong, that's good. I mean, because you were promoted from an assistant all the way to wide receiver coach, being offensive coordinator, and offensive coordinator to head coach. Frank Reich called the plays in Indianapolis. And I don't. If my mind serves me correctly, you never did call any plays when you were over there. So now you come to the Eagles calling plays, and your plays have not been up to par. You have done a lot of things that was questionable, like last week's game against the 49ers. You had 2 4th down calls, 2 4th down plays rather. And instead of you going for the point, you try to go for the extra yard to extend for first downs. Now, need I remind you that the 49ers defense is a top 5 ranked defense in all of the NFL. You washed up and didn't do it in this game against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys stifled the entire offensive plan that you put out on the field. You have put um, Hurts in horrible positions where the man had thrown 2 interceptions and he threw 1 interception in the first quarter, and then he threw another interception in the second half of the game. The man threw 2 interceptions, but he threw for 2 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. But all that could have been avoided had you ran the rock like you said that you were going to do before you became the Eagles head coach. So, let me give you a brief history of coaches that have came to the Philadelphia Eagles before, as my intellect concerned. Now I can't take it back to after Dick Vermeer because I didn't know nothing about football from when Dick Vermeer became head coach on up until you. So I'm starting in 1977. That's the year the Eagles became. That's the year that Dick Vermeer became head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. When he became head coach, in his first 2 years, he had horrible records. 1980 is when the Eagles evolved in one of the greatest offenses in NFL history, and they had one good stifling defense. One good stifling defense. You know what I'm saying? He had a winning record from 1980 up until 1984, I believe. And I think 84 was the last year that he had a horrible record, and he resigned in 1985 because he had a situation in the front office where it would get into and it would bottom to all the pressure. of winning had confused him to a point where he had to retire from the NFL. Then in came my favorite coach of all time, and it's Buddy Ryan. When Buddy Ryan came to the Philadelphia Eagles, the man brought defense. The man is the architect of the 40-30 defense scheme. He brought the defense, the same defense that he ran in Chicago when Chicago won the Super Bowl in 1985. That same defensive philosophy he brought to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles in the last 7 years that Buddy Ryan was coach. The Eagles had a top 5 ranked defense. There was no beating the Eagles on defense. You know what I'm saying? Only thing that bothered us was the offense. And he drafted Randall Cunningham in 1985. That was one of his first off the draft picks. You know what I'm saying? Randall Cunningham wasn't either a first, second, third, or fourth round pick. I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick, or might have been a 7th or 8th. Not exactly sure what round he was drafted. But back then they had from first round to 12 rounds. When he was drafted, Buddy Ryan problems where he was not able to get players to help Randall Cunningham. He did a good job though, even though he did brought in Chris Carter. Chris Carter was I think a second or third round pick. Chris Carter did real well with the Philadelphia Eagles up until he had the problem with drinking. And when he had a problem with drinking, he was released by the Eagles. And that was like in 91, 90, I think it was 91, so long I've been there. And when he released the Minnesota Vikings picked him up around the early 90s, and he had a stabilized career from the year the Eagles released him up until him coming to Minnesota Vikings. And so he has an all-time receiving record with the Vikings from the year the Vikings picked him up off waivers up until his retiring back. I think 98, 99, somewhere over there when he retired. So he had like 12 or 13,000 yards with the Vikings, and he had back-to-back 1,000 yards with the Eagles before his altercation with the front office that led to his release. But anyway, enough of that. I'm still thinking about. I pretty much know the history of the Philadelphia Eagles from '77 up until now, and Buddy Ryan was at one point the all-time winningest coach in the Eagles history. I think he had like 41 wins, I believe. I think he was 41-41. I think that's the record. I believe. I could be wrong, but I don't know if his record is either tied or he 2 or 3 more wins than losses in Eagles history. And that led to his release that led to his firing because when Jeffrey Lurie wasn't the owner then. I forgot who the owner was, but that owner fired Buddy Ryan. And when he fired Buddy Ryan, they brought in a coach that I can't stand, and that's Rich Coty. Rich Coty came over from the New York Jets, I believe. He was either Jets. No, I'm sorry. He actually was. He was an offensive coordinator with the Jets. Eagles brought him here, and then he wasn't going back to New York Jets after his early release with the Eagles. But that's another time, another situation. Rich Coty's offense was very potent at the time. He drafted other wide receivers around that surrounded Randall Cunningham, but between him and Randall Cunningham, it was some problems between him and the coach. And so Rich Coty was with the Eagles from 1990, I believe. Is either 90 or 91 to around 90, 91. Yeah, 91, 93. He spent 3 years with the Philadelphia Eagles as the head coach. Then in came Jeffrey Lurie, who fired Rich Coty. He fired him. Then after he fired him, then he brought in Ray Rhodes. Ray Rhodes came in 1994, after the year he became head coach. And Ray Rhodes had a good coaching career from 94 to 97, I believe. And no, 97? No, I'm sorry. Hold on, let me backtrack. 98, 97, 96, 95. Yeah, I'm sorry. Rich Coach was head coach with the Eagles from 90, 92, 91 to 94, I believe. So he spent a good 4 or 5 years with the Eagles. 4 or 5 years if I'm wrong, if I'm right. I think he did. And then, like I said, in the end came Jeffrey Lurie. I think Lurie gave Rich Cody enough time to see what he can do, and Lurie let him go. Then Lurie brought in his own coach, with Ray Rose, who was hired in 1985. I'm sorry, 95, 1995. And Ray Rose came in with very high remarks, very good resume, because he was a very good defensive strategist. In fact, I think Ray Rose was the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean for the San Francisco 49ers, who also won a Super Bowl. So Ray Rose does have a Super Bowl with the 49ers back when he was an assistant at the 49ers. When the 49ers won a Super Bowl back in '94, Ray Rose was on that staff. So 93, 94, he was on that staff. So he does have a ring with the 49ers. Then came him. He had a pretty good career with the Eagles as well. His first year, he bombed out, which was 95. 96, 97, he had a winning record. 98 was the year that he bombed out. He bombed out completely. You know what I'm saying? So, because we thought with his defensive philosophies, we thought it would work, because the simple fact is, most of the players that he drafted from the year he became head coach up until his firing, he had some pretty good play. Matter of fact, he drafted Brian Dawkins, he drafted Jeremiah Trotter, he drafted, I think, Chris T. Jones, I believe, a couple of other receivers that he drafted in the tenure. But when he got fired, because the fact is, his defense kind of went soft on him. And like I said, then he brought in what's the offensive coordinator now? He brought him in. He's head coach. He's the Raiders head coach now. I forgot the board name, but he's head coach of the Raiders right now, and he was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles when Ray Rose was head coach. And he came with high regards when he was at Green Bay. They brought him from Green Bay to the Philadelphia Eagles. His resume, like I said, he had a very high guard resume from his time with the 49ers up until now. Because Ray Rose bounced around. He was at Green Bay, and he went from Green Bay to the 49ers, where he won a Super Bowl. And so his resume was okay, but when he got hired, like I said, he came with high regards. And doing his tenure with the Eagles, like I said, his first year he bombed out. His second and third year were winning seasons, and his second year he bombed out. And so when he bombed out, Jeffrey Lurie fired him. So Jeffrey Lurie said, well, maybe it's time for me to bring in an offensive coach. In came Andy Reid. Okay, now, Andy Reid was another offensive way. Actually, he was a quarterback coach. And a lot of people wondered, why would the owner hire a quarterback coach? Why? You know what I'm saying? But Andy Reid at the time wasn't constantly rising up the ranks of the coaching staff. He was rising, you know what I'm saying? And so I think he started off as an assistant, and then he went for offensive assistant, you know what I'm saying? He went all the way up. I think he was a scout at one point. He went from scout to becoming the quarterback coach, because he worked real well with Brett Favre. And he worked real well with Ty Debner when Ty Debner was over there. So he did real with Ty Debner and Brett Favre. When he got hired by Jeffrey Lurie, like I said, a lot of folks were wondering, why would he hire an offensive assistant instead of hiring an offensive coordinator? And so when he was hired, if you guys remember, Andy Reid was a very young dude. He wasn't chubby like he is now. But when he started, he was a compact built guy, very young. Had it been like between 35 and 45 years old, he was a very young coach. And he came with high regards. like I said, he was rising up the mark. He was rising up the ranks of coaches. And so Andy Reid's philosophies were pretty much on point, very on point to be exact. Because in his first year of coach, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He ran the football. He had, like I said, Ray Rhodes. Oh yeah, another guy. He brought in Duke. Also, Ray Rhodes also drafted Duke Staley from University of South Carolina. So when he had Duke Staley, when he had Brian Dawkins, he had Jeremiah Trotter. He had other guys that that he was working with. You know what I'm saying? And then from '99 and 2000 he drafted Donovan McNabb, and it was either 99 2000. Sorry, he drafted Donovan McNabb in 1999. I'm sorry, let me get that right. 1999 ain't the year he was drafted. That draft class was not the best draft class there was, because there were three other quarterbacks. I think Akil Smith. He was one of the top rated quarterbacks at the time. Then the other quarterback from University of Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? And Donovan McNabb. Those were your top three quarterbacks at the time. They all went 1, 2, and 3. Because Cleveland Brown had the #1 pick that year. They drafted that University of Kentucky quarterback. They drafted him. The Eagles had the second round, the second pick overall. They drafted Donovan McNabb. The Cincinnati Bengals had the third pick. They drafted Akil Smith. Of those two quarterbacks, only one survived. That was Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb didn't play a little bit that year. I think he wound up playing. He actually did play a little bit that year. Actually, not that year he drafted, but top, well, not top depth, but Andy Reid also plucked Doug Peterson from the Green Bay Packers. He was the coach. I mean, he was the quarterback from week 1 up until like week 10 or week 11 when the Eagles played the Washington Redskins. You got to remember that McNabb played that. He played that year, that quarter of the year, or the second quarter of the year rather. He played the Washington Redskins, and if I am correct, the Washington Redskins tried to give him some type of double look on defense. It didn't work because they rushed 4 and put everybody back in zone coverage. And so the Eagles' offensive line wasn't that good at the time, because they only had what's his name, the offensive line player. I forgot his name. They had him on the left side, and they had another offensive line player on the other side. So both of those guys opened up holes for Donovan McNabb to either pass or run. But Donovan McNabb did a lot of running when he was in college, because it's been twice he won't beat the University of Tennessee. The University of Tennessee played Donovan McNabb in 97 and 98, the year before he was drafted. You know what I'm saying? And he almost single-handedly beat the University of Tennessee. I'll never forget it because I watched that game. You know what I'm saying? And Peyton Manning was the quarterback those 2 years. Well, actually, that last year, Peyton Manning was the quarterback in 97. Like I said, they played Syracuse when he was there, and in 98 when he was there. So that should give some evidence, because Donovan McNabb he had a strong arm, but he also was also quick on it. He was also nimble with his feet. And let me get with the part, nimble with his feet. If you guys remember, he ran when he had the rock. He buckled down, and he shook one of the Washington Redskins defensive tackles. I think Donovan McNabb went left. Donovan McNabb went right, and the offensive tackle tried to tackle him forward, but he moved so smooth to his right. He outmanned, or should I say outsmarted, Washington Redskins defensive tackle. And he sprinted for a first down. Donovan McNabb has won the heart of Philadelphia from that day. And Andy Reid was the most stable coach in Eagles history from 1999 to 2012. 2012. If you guys remember, the Eagles started winning in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. If you guys remember, 2001, we went to, I'm sorry, yeah, 2000, we played, 2001, we played the St. Louis Rams at the time. And we played them neck for neck. But we lost because they won a Super Bowl the previous years before, and in that year they were scheduled to go back to the Super Bowl, but they never went back. And Andy Reid had back-to-back NFC. He went to the divisional rounds. Well, actually, it was a wild card, and from the wild card to the divisional round, and from the divisional rounds, finally to the NFC Conference Championship game, where they deliberately defeated the Atlanta Falcons to get to the Super Bowl. But 2002, they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the divisional round, and Tampa Bay at the time, the Eagles beat Tampa Bay in 2000 and 2001. They beat them back to back, and so Tampa Bay got some revenge against the Eagles in 2002, and then went to the Super Bowl. So that's why the history itself, it was then my grab because I remember all of this. You know what I'm saying? I remember all of this. But with all said, boy, and done, I'm gonna get to my point as soon as I'm done explaining all what I got to say. Anyway, like I said, we went to 2001 and 2002. The Eagles went 2000, 2001, 2002. The Eagles went back to back NFC, the NFC wild card, from the wild card to the divisional round, and from the divisional round to the NFC Conference Championship, where they defeated the Atlanta Falcons to get to the Super Bowl. That was 2002, 2003 season. In 2003 season, the year they went to the Super Bowl to play the Patriots, and the Eagles lost that Super Bowl. I think 21-10, I believe, 21-10 or 21-7, somewhere along. But it was a low-scoring game. That's all I know. And the Eagles never went back. They were scheduled to return to the Super Bowl in 2004, but they never went back because of the situation between the organization and Terrell Owens. So that kind of threw the Eagles there. But when in a nutshell, then after Andy Reid tenure in 2012, in came Chip Kelly. Now, Chip Kelly, a college coach that the Eagles took a chance on. But need I remind you, majority of that staff, majority of those players that was on that team was drafted by none other than Andy Reid. Now, had Chip Kelly stuck with Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, Jeremy Maclin, Todd Hermans, Trent Cole, all these guys that he released between 2013 and 2015. Some guys he never signed back, and some he did sign back, and some of the guys that he cut deliberately. Now, 2014 is the year that he released Deshaun Jackson, and 2015 he traded LaShawn McCoy. So I mean, then he brought in the guy from the Dallas Cowboys. That didn't pan out very well because he won a plan in 2015, 16, and 17. 2015 and 17. I'm sorry, 2015 and 16. He played the year Doug Peterson was there, you know what I'm saying? And Doug Peterson let him go in 2017. So, in a nutshell, then when Chip Kelly came, in came Doug Peterson, former coach, former player, former quarterback, offensive coordinator to head coach. The 4 years that he was there, 2016, 17, we went to the Super Bowl because majority of those players on that majority of players on that team were either Andy Reid or some of Chip Kelly's draft players. So the mixture of players was there, but they brought in other free agents like LeGarrette Blount, who ran the ball extraordinarily because he was a bigger back, and he was able to break tackles for long runs and long gains. To me, a lot of Eagles fans will probably agree with this, but Gary Blunt should have been re-signed. The Eagles should have re-signed Gary Blunt, but they never did. He played on the 1 year deal, and then he went. Then he went to Detroit. Then from Detroit there, and I don't think he never. I think he played for one more team, and after that he called it a career because the Gary Blunt had 3 Super Bowl rings. He won 2 with New England, and he won 1 with the Eagles. So he had 3 rings. Then they brought in Chris Long, who bounced around in the NFL. He also played. He won 1 ring with New England and then won 1 with the Eagles. So he had 2 Super Bowl rings to his credit. A lot of these players that they had, some they re-signed, some they let go. Doug Peterson's downfall is that he failed to run the football. I mean, he put Carson Wentz in situations that he couldn't get out of. I mean, then when he drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round, that put more pressure on Wentz to play. And Carson Wentz had been fucking up ever since. You know what I'm saying? And that led to his downfall and led to his trading from where he was here up to the Indianapolis Colts. So that was Doug Peterson's downfall. 2017, 18, and 19, he had 3 winning seasons. 2020, he was fired. And then, I'm sorry, 2021, he was fired. Then in came Nick Sirianni. So that's why now I didn't give you a history of the coaches, but as far as their records, for their wins, loss records, I really can't tell you that because that's going deeper and deeper into certain situations that I probably can't pronounce or can't say. But those are the history of the coaches. So, but of all those coaches, Dick Vermeil ran the football because he had Wilbur Montgomery. Buddy Ryan had 1 running back, but I can't stand him, and that's that the running back number, I forgot, number 41. He was a fullback. He was a 1st round draft pick. I forgot. I can't think of his name off the bat, but he's one guy to me that I really couldn't stand. I couldn't stand because the super fact is he was drafted to be a running back, not to be a fullback. I can't think of his name off the bat, but Buddy Ryan had a foray of running backs, but he did run the football, so I can't knock him for that. And then came Ray Rhodes. Ray Rhodes also ran the football. He did really well running the football. I forgot the running back that he had, but he did bring in Kevin Turner from the New England Patriots. Kevin Turner, in my opinion, was probably the greatest fullback the Eagles has ever had, other than the boy they had, number 43. I forgot his name. The Eagles brought him in from Seattle, and matter of fact, he was the original number 43. And I can't think of his name. His name started with an L. But he had a career-ending injury. He couldn't. He had an injury. He broke his knee. I forgot what it was. He busted up his knee in 3 or 4 different places, and he tried to get back, and it didn't work for him. So it was career-threatening for him. So his career was put to an end. But either way you look at it, Ray Rhodes ran the football, Andy Reid ran the football. Chip Kelly ran the football. Only person that didn't run the football was Doug Peterson. He didn't run it like he was supposed to. He ran it in his 1st and 2nd year. But the 3rd and 4th year, he had issues running the rock. And that's why the Eagles did. When the Eagles got in a position that they got themselves in when he failed to run the rock in 2 of the past 4 seasons that he went to Philadelphia Eagles as coach. And then comes you, Nick Sirianni, who's supposed to be the big dog of the Indianapolis Colts. You know what I'm saying? You came to the Eagles with a reputation of being a wide receiver coach, to be promoted to offensive coordinator, and didn't call a single play over there. But you come here to call plays, but the plays that you call are strange and weird. You know what I'm saying? You got 2 running backs. You got Sanders. You got Kenneth Gainwell. You got Boston Scott. You got 3 good running backs to your disposal to run the football, but you didn't run the football you ran it a little bit in week 1. You didn't run it. You didn't run it at all, but you run it a little bit also with the 49ers. But 49ers kind of caught on quick, and they stifled every time that you try to run the football. it was stifled, which means that your plays were predictable, and you put Jalen Hurts in a situation where he had to pass the ball, which led to yesterday's game against the Dallas Cowboys. You put him in a situation that he had to pass the ball 90% of that football game. It led to him getting sacked twice. It led to him getting beat around. It led to him getting knocked around. It led to him throwing 2 interceptions in that game. So the question is, Nick Sirianni, are you who you think you are, or are you just a bluff? Because see, I understand you young. I understand that the entire coaching staff is young. Only one that's not young is the offensive line coach, who has been a part of 3 coaching staffs: Peterson, Kelly, and you. He's the only stable, so he gets a back burner. We're not messing with him because he's one of the top 5 offensive line coaches in the NFL. Remember, this guy came from the University of Alabama with a reputation of teaching offensive lines. That's why the Eagles kept him around, and he won. I think he also won the highest paid offensive line coach in the NFL. At some point, he's gonna wind up becoming a head coach, because he's gonna become head coach in the NFL or at the college level. One of the two. He's gonna leave the Eagles at one point. Sometimes he's gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? And you, like I said, you had the reputation of coming in rock, paper, scissors. Right now, your comments and your interviews is looking more and more like a joke. It's like as if you're talking hot air, and you're wasting the Philadelphia Eagles fans' time, because last night against Dallas Cowboys, for the life of us, you only ran the ball. You ran the ball 3, 4, 5 times. I really couldn't keep count, but all I know is I can name it. I can count it on my fingers. You ran the ball that many times, but you backed away from the run, and all the runs that Mike Thompson run, the man was picking up 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. I mean, he was getting more like 4 or 5 yards per rush. But you didn't stick with the program. You didn't stick with what you said you were going to do. So your rock, papers, and scissors is more like paper, paper, paper. And teams like the 49ers and the Cowboys are the rocks. They smashing your ass. And I'm really, and it sickens me to even talk about this, because you're supposed to be the coach that came in with the reputation of being an offensive-minded nerd. All these shirts that you're wearing, you need to cut that out, because that's childish. You know what I'm saying? That's really, really childish. You don't need to be wearing no shirts like that until you prove who you say that you are. You need to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You need to beat them, because see, I thought it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Panthers. I found out it's the Chiefs who next on the horizon for the Eagles in Philadelphia. It's them. They wanted to, we wanted to. The battle of that game back there, and go put someone at 1-3, or put somebody at 2-2. Somebody got to win the football game, because if we go 1-3, that is not gonna look good for you, Nick Sirianni, because us fans gonna start calling for your head, and we are known for getting on your motherfucking ass if you don't say what you say. If you don't say what you say, what you're gonna do. That's how we act. That's us. You know what I'm saying? We are one of the most rowdiest fan base in all of football. That's why most fans from opposing teams come here. When they come to Philadelphia, they can't sit in front of, or they can't sit in the middle or down where you can see the game. They rather sit in the back. So when it's time for them to act, they can get out without getting bum rushed or getting hit or getting talked about. Majority of those fans either sit up high or they sit down low behind the bleachers from all the other Philadelphia Eagles fans. That's where they normally sit. I'm talking about the team, the players of opposing teams that come to visit the link. The fans they sit in the back. You don't hardly see them. If they scatter around, they probably scatter around. But majority of them always sit in the back. From what I've seen throughout my years of being an Eagle fan, opposing players' fan base Nobody sits in the back. Because they know if they sit in the middle or sit down close to the field, they ain't going to make it out alive. So, that's the point I'm trying to tell you. You need to say what you say you're going to do. You need to run the football. Give this Eagles a time to run the football. I mean, I understand we got players that's hurt, you know what I'm saying? But between that and time, you need to give Hurts enough time where he can scan the field and get the ball out of his hand. But if he can't do that, that means that teams are not going to respect the passing game, because for the second straight week, well, actually 3 weeks rather, the Atlanta Falcons did the same damn thing. But their defense is mediocre, like the Cowboys defense. But the Cowboys defense was able to corral Jalen Hurts and keep that man in the pocket most of the night, because you couldn't run the football. And every time you tried to run the football, like I said, Myles Sirianni got so many yards. I guess he got 5 yards, 10 yards, 20 yards. I mean, the man was skating up the field. I mean, we all know how fast Mike Sanders is, because Mike Sanders plays real well against the Cowboys. The last two times he was drafted, the man played well against the Cowboys. The man got like 200 or 300 yards. I mean, 200 or 300 yards rush against the Cowboys. So that should tell you something right there. If he has a high percentage against one team, you use that player against that team that he's good against, and you fail there. You put Hurts in position to throw 2 interceptions, get sacked twice, to get beat up, tore up, and on the ground on a constant basis. I mean, you can't do. I mean, and then the Cowboys on their turf, they bullied the Eagles on the sideline when they pushed Hurts or whoever it was they pushed out. I think it was Sanders. They pushed Sanders out. Most of the Cowboys players was on that side of the field where the Eagles was, and they came out talking much noise. I saw that. They were talking noise. And one of them guys even pointed at the scoreboard saying, "We winning. You ain't winning, we winning." I saw all of this. So that's why the Eagles fan base, we rant. I mean, that's why they call WIP 8464. They call that channel all the time, complaining about you and your bad play calling. So you need to figure out what you're gonna do, because the Kansas City Chiefs are coming to town. Even though they're 1-2, they still want a better offense in the NFL, because they got 2 good quarterbacks, two good wide receivers. They got a good tight end, and they also got one of the best running backs in the NFL, who we got the last year from the University of Louisiana State Monroe, the Tigers. So you gotta look at all of that, because then in their defense, they got a top 10 ranked defense, but they are 1-2 because the team that they played outsmarted them on offense. So if you can't outsmart the Kansas City Chiefs defense, what do you think and what they're gonna make you look like? They're gonna make you like a fucking dunce. Everybody put your ass on the stool and put the big old triangle shape on your head and put dunce, cause you looking more like a dunce than you look like a nerd at this time being. So I feel I need to come on here and explain the history of the Philadelphia Eagles coaches and what they have done for this organization, good or bad. But you making it look like this Eagles brought you in, and it making it look like that it's a bad draft pick. I mean, a bad coaching hire. That would definitely looking like now. It looks like you more and more of a bad hire. And if that's true, then it falls on the ownership. It falls on them. But overall, Nick Sirianni, you need to run the football. You got Mike Sanders, one of the best running backs in the NFL. The guy had over 300 yards rush against the Cowboys. He is one of the best at rushing against the Cowboys. For some reason, he know how to pick and poison and holds the run against the Cowboys defense. He knows this. That's why he's one of the best in the game. I don't know if everybody is feeling the way I'm feeling, but this video going over 40 minutes, and this is crazy. I can't believe I don't sit up here and say all this on the video, but I had to get it out, because I don't 5500 LB. I haven't seen Philly Notion yet. Joey Shakes said enough. I mean, the man, I laughed at what he was saying, but he was telling the honest, for God, honest truth. He was telling the truth. He really was. And he expressed himself. Everything he said, I said in the video just now, or I might have said in the video before this one. All I know is he told the truth. And he didn't hold nothing back. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why George Chase is one of the most beloved Eagles content creators of all time, because the man doesn't hold back at all. He tells you how he feels. Haven't seen Philip Mike yet, but Philip Mike the same way. LB, he the same way. I'll put it this way: all the Philadelphia Eagles content makers, they don't hold nothing back. They really don't. And that's what I love about them. And I'm among them. I don't hold nothing back, because I'm gonna tell you how I feel. If you like it or if you don't like it, that's on you, buddy, not me. Cause I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan base for 41 years. I became a Philadelphia Eagles fan in 1980 when Dick Vermeil spent the last 4 years, 4 or 7 years with the Eagles. I ain't got nothing else to say on this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and on a positive note. Normally I would say before, but I can't because I am so erratic at this time. So I'm just gonna say peace out. This the Green Talents. Holler at your boy and let me know how you feel at this very moment. Peace.